Yeah, and there's a lot of organizations in the last few years in particular, like code.org, who are great at advocating for and promoting those connections that can be made and demonstrating like the value of learning computer science or coding. But there are some districts where it just hasn't caught on yet, either because it's not mandatory in their state or it just administrators are unaware of it. But there are like individual teachers who are incorporating CS or CT in their class. What might you recommend for those teachers who want to expand the reach to outside of just their classroom and maybe reach their whole district?
Yeah, I think a lot of us started out as lonely souls, kind of the voice in the desert there. And, to keep looking for other collaborators and connecting with other people that are doing what you're doing is a big part. But if you really want change to happen, I think you have to work from bottom up, top down, and sideways all at the same time.
Yeah.
Because that's, I think, what happened in Maryland that really worked. And it took us a few years of doing that. But, peer-to-peer works really well. A principal tells another principal, look at this great thing I did.
Yep.
Or a counselor, or a district administrator, or another teacher, and an elementary teacher to an elementary teacher. So people having success and telling other people about it is part of what makes it work. But then at the same time, trying to educate your legislators, trying to educate your administrators, it's a lot. But really, that's what we are. We're like this big education institution trying to catch up with what people don't know.
Yeah, I really like the idea of the peer-to-peer. As two examples, like one, you could share on social media, and that could potentially help promote the idea with other teachers in your area. But two, just inviting administrators to your classroom to see what you're doing can lead to interesting results.
Yeah.
I had a makerspace that was a middle school elective, and the superintendent just happened to walk in one day and was like, this is amazing. And long story short, it ended up that we created a maker bus that traveled from school to school that would provide these maker experiences so that everybody in the district could experience that at some point throughout the year. So that just one-off moment where the superintendent walked in my room led to a makerspace going to every one of the schools. So things can kind of snowball into bigger things.
And it doesn't have to be something as big as a bus, right? It could just be those lending bins.
Right.
Okay, let's make up some bins of these cool little activities for logic or these cool little robots, and let's make them available to people so that more people can do it. And let's provide PD for it so they know what to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing that I often see is missing, or the PD that's provided is just this one-off thing where it's like, okay, I've spent 6 hours or 8 hours doing this thing, and now what?
Yep, or they give you training on something that you're actually not going to have access to. So,
Yeah.
Gosh, that was fun. Wish I could do it.
This podcast highlight was from episode 15 of the CSKA podcast, which is titled Suggestions for Starting or Expanding Your Program with Dianne O'Grady-Cunniff. And you can listen to this episode on any major podcast platform or by going to jaredoleary.com, where you'll find hundreds of more podcast episodes for computer science educators.